Folks, you've heard of Beast Within, but have you heard of Feast with Jim? A new VR experience where you get to sit down and have dinner with James White. Good old Jimmy. It's pretty awesome. I don't have a VR headset, but I've heard great things. Thank you so much. Fresh and Buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I am your host, Tommy Fresh. You are all my buds, joined once again this week by our dear bud, Dagan White, the zookeeper. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Always good to be back.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one because we have some bands to talk about, which I think kind of shook everybody up because they are unique in terms of the bands that we've seen from Flesh and Blood in the past. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's catch up with Dig and see what you're up to. You know, what's going on? Because you are a busy guy, right? What's new with you?
Well, we can start off at Nationals, I guess. Kind of recap how that went real quick. Long story short, terrible. But that's okay. There was a lot health and mentally going on that kind of got in the way, but that's okay. I stuck through everything and cashed the calling, so that was cool. Shout out to my teammates. We got Rhea and Brian. They got this mirror guy situation. I don't know if anybody saw this at Nats, but we're all playing like a Guardian Enigma, basically. So Illusionist and Guardian shaking hands for once, you know. But
How did that deck go? I mean, I guess for some better than others, there's probably a little bit of a gem roulette with that deck, you know, because I remember I saw you and I was like, oh, what are you playing? I assumed like Victor, to be honest.
Right.
I assumed it, and then you were like, oh, I'm playing Guardian, but Enigma, and I was like, what? And then, how did that list go? Because I haven't even gotten a chance to look at it.
It's basically just like everything you'd expect out of a Guardian deck. A lot of like 6 power attacks like Amnesia or the one that discards a non-blocker. A lot of like disruptive attacks, block 3s, and then you have a big dome dragon that just kills people. So that's basically the deck. If anybody wants to see like specifics on like the deck lists or like kind of like matchup ideas, Ray actually did a video on her channel on Hit Effect, so you can go check that out there. That's probably the best way to learn about that. But yeah, it was a fun deck. To be honest, I'll probably just play it at the Pro Tour just because I'm comfortable with it, but we can get into that in a bit.
Yeah, and you know, the Pro Tour is going to be have a little bit different of a landscape than Nats, assumingly. I mean, when's the Bolton deck come out? Will those Bolton cards be legal for the Pro Tour? Or is that after? I forget.
They might be legal, but I don't think I've looked at them, to be honest. So.
I know that the chess piece is supposed to be pretty insane, you know, like in terms of like ceiling.
Yeah.
But it doesn't block, so the floor is pretty low.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see if that comes out. I forget when that comes out, but it doesn't matter because there was a bigger change, and we'll talk about that. But you've also been doing some Alpha Clash stuff. I know they just announced like a new set as well. How's Alpha Clash been treating you?
Good. The most recent set is called Unrivaled. It came out not too long ago. I don't remember the exact date. But yeah, it pretty much went Nationals for me in Minneapolis, and then drive back home next weekend, go to Ohio for that Clash Grounds event. It's similar to like a Hauling. Okay. It's kind of how their competitive circuit treats it. And that was won by Flesh and Blood player Michael Hamilton, so he went over and decided to spike that too, so he was there. But yeah, it was interesting because originally the tournament was supposed to be cast by Logan and Charmer of Flesh and Pod.
Yes,
those two were supposed to be casting it, and Charmer's car died, so he couldn't make it. And they're like, "Well, that's just Logan." I was like, "I mean, I'll do it if you need somebody to fill in." They're like, "All right, you're in." So like, I don't know, like 9 p.m. or something the night before. That's when I figured out I was doing that. And I was like, I have no experience, but we're going to make it work. So the alternative was like helping run the Alpha Clash booth at Origins. This is where the tournament took place, the board game convention over in Ohio. But I was like, all right, yeah, sure, we'll try it. It was pretty fun. I liked it a lot, honestly. So
Yeah, I mean, you have had experience, helping them test cards and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, so literally, you are the Brian Gottlieb of Alpha Clash.
I'd like to be. That'd be sweet.
hopping in the booth, designing cards, testing out cards. I mean, you just do it all. And I'm sure you're a great player of the game as well. Now, anything fun on the horizon for you in either game, Flesh and Blood or Alpha Clash, outside of the Pro Tour, which is coming up?
I mean, honestly, I've been so busy and I've had so much going on. I can't think of like anything super specific because at the moment I'm like just finishing plans for like Amsterdam and everything to show you how last minute all this has been going for me. So that would be, in theory, the next exciting thing I'd be going to. Win or lose, still got to go overseas, hang out with some people. It'll be a good time. So I'm looking forward to Alpha Clash announcing the rest of their circuit. So I can't really get too much into that because I haven't published like location information or anything like that. But you can look forward to that for people who are into Alpha Clash. So.
What's the size of their calling-esque tournaments in terms of attendance?
So the first one was in Vegas at Level Up. They've been kind of running them in conjunction with cons until as they grow. I think Flesh and Blood might have done something kind of similar, if I remember right. I wasn't around during the early days, so I can't speak for certain. But the first one we had like 60 people, something like that. And the second one had probably about the same. But this one was announced super last minute in comparison, like month and change maybe. So it's pretty hard for a lot of people to plan in advance, especially with that big convention being there. Like all the hotels were really expensive and booked at that point, but still a decent turnout, all things considered, though.
Yeah, well, it sounds, a little similar to early days of Flesh and Blood, when people wouldn't know when the next events were.
Exactly, yeah.
Obviously they've been doing a great job now, so we hope that the other games kind of get to that point as well. Now, Rosetta's coming out. That was like the big news coming out of Nats, right? Yeah. We saw these new heroes, or at least we saw at least the art of all the new heroes, right? In their young form, which again, I will bring it up on the podcast. What is Ocilio going to look like as an adult hero? He's already huge. I don't understand. But I'm excited to see what that means. But do you have any hot takes regarding Rosetta, and does an all arcane set intrigue you?
I wasn't that interested in all arcane to begin with, to be honest, because not kind of the hero that I like to play. I mean, a lot of people know that I like to play Guardian. I like to block a lot, and that's not really how those decks generally play. But that being said, the wizard gains life, and you can amp gaining that life. And the Rune Blade can make a bunch of embodiment earth, so I can play Beefy Briar with Reaping Blade again. So really, I'm in. We'll make it work.
Yeah,
every deck's a Guardian if you want it to be. So.
That's. I mean, you're proving it with Enigma.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, I saw Florian, and I did think of you because I was like, because you were one of the first people I saw play the Beefy Briar, right? And Florian is just. It doesn't have lightning. Doesn't have, so it can't do the crazy go wide stuff. I mean, probably to a certain extent can with the Runeblade stuff, but it looks like it wants to go tall and beefy, which is really fun. And I'm excited for Florian. I've never been excited for a Runeblade ever, ever in the history of the game, folks. Now Florian's doing it for me. Now, do you have any hot takes though for Rosetta? What do you expect to come out of it? Because we know that LSS likes to throw us a curveball, do something a little bit different every set. This has got to be no different. We saw what the new wand does. I guess is wand, the Ocilio wand that cares about cards with the name Sigil. We don't have a lot of those right now, but obviously they're planning on making more. What are the hot takes here?
I don't remember the text on that one. It just Sigil cards in general.
Yeah.
Let me actually pull it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want to pull it up, that'd be.
What was it called? Ocilio.
No, Ocilio is.
That's the hero.
That's the hero. It's probably in on February. I can do it actually real quick.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. Rosetta. Boom. Draftable set. That's beautiful. Shout out
Nice.
to Fabry, just the best site.
For real.
Not a sponsor, but geez, I love that
They're just
site.
cool people. Yeah.
Great people over there. Volzar, the lightning rod. It's my nickname in high school. Lightning wizard weapon, staff, 2-hand, not a wand, I guess. If you control an aura permanent with sigil in its name, this costs 1 less to activate, and it has a once per turn instant. Pay 1, amp X, where X is the number of lightning cards you played this turn. So,
no sigil sauce. Sad.
yeah, that's true.
Has to be an aura, yeah. That's what I wanted to check. I forgot, but yeah, sad.
Well, I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe the Earth one, the Earth Rod, is going to be
that's possible.
Instance on the stack with the name sigil or whatever. That'd be kind of cool. And then amping the life gain. Kind of cool. What do you think? What do you think? Is that? I mean, I know that you're not going to be playing the go wide stuff,
right? But if there's a wizard that like, deals damage based on how much you heal or something, I could be interested.
Yeah,
something like that, like a defensive wizard, like you play sigil permanents, like the ones that prevent damage, like like ward or something. You can kind of play it like our Guardian Enigma in theory, right? You just shoot for arcane damage instead of making allies. So
yeah, and it's like, Icelander was a little defensive, more disruptive.
Right.
If we see like a true defensive wizard, I think that'd be super cool, and just like then rewarding maybe the sigils that have ward and stuff like that, and then you're just like, oh, okay, we're really doing it. So
this would be the set to do it. I think there's going to be a lot of defensive cards in this set from what it looks like. So
yeah, it's weird.
That's what I'm hoping. But
yeah, well, now here's the question for you, Dagan. Do they print a new keyword for ways to deal with arcane damage, or is Arcane Barrier just coming back, or Spell Fray coming back?
I feel like it might just be like a reprint of like more generic null runes, since we don't really have that. I don't know. It would make sense because it's like a draftable set that maybe you want some generic null rune. I don't know. I don't see a new keyword because I don't know what area of design space you could stretch that to at this point for just more prevention. But I could be wrong. LSS is a very creative team, so
they sure are. I mean, I think you guys are getting new or like special null runes at PT Amsterdam.
We are, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So maybe that's
foreshadowing.
Yeah, that could be totally it, which is kind of neat. Now, other than Rosetta, we have the First Strike decks coming out. Obviously, those are meant for teaching the game, yada yada yada. But there is a new Guardian, Terra.
There is.
And I mean, there's I like any kind of woodsy, foresty stuff. So like, I saw Terra, and I'm like, I'm not a huge Guardian player, but I was like, he looks really cool. I want to see what's going on with him. Are there going to be any fun like blitz brews that you're going to be toying around with Terra?
I'm gonna be honest. I just don't play blitz.
Well, what about Armory?
I don't play blitz. To be honest, most of the people in our area are just kind of like, I just kind of want to play CC and draft. So it's mostly what we do. That being said, we do run like blitz for like newer players or whatever. So that way, there's kind of that like skill difference in events. Like newer people can like start blitz. Kind of go like LSS initially intended from how it feels like. I mean, he's a pretty cool hero. So like assuming he also translates to CC, the hero powers might be different though. I mean, he's pretty cool. You can make might tokens and CNC for 7s. That's always pretty cool. So
it's pretty cool. Well, I guess like Aurora's the other deck. That's the Lightning Ring Blade, which is going to be in Rosetta. And Terra does not have an adult hero version currently. However, you got to satisfy some of the Oldham kind of stuff, right? Because we're getting the replacement for Briar in this set, but there is still a lot of ice to be revisited, and they could do the same thing where it's half earth, half ice. There's an Earth Guardian, there's a Ice Guardian, which would be pretty sweet to see. And Terra could finally be all grown up, so that would be kind of neat. Although this is the second time this has happened with like Guardians, that the young version of the hero still looks really old.
Yeah. The old one's just ancient.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Now, with the Pro Tours coming up, you said you're probably going to play Enigma. Anything else that is on your mind coming into this Pro Tour? Are they doing MST draft?
As far as I know, I'll be honest, I barely looked at it. I'll just show up and draft. But yeah, as far as I know, it's draft again. So I don't think there's any real changes there. And then the new CC format, which is the same one, but with bands.
With bands.
So
what do you expect to see at the Pro Tour?
I'll be honest, I don't expect it to be that much different. Then it's still a crazy good deck. And if you remember, as an example from like Chain days when I banned Seeds, immediately after, it's like somehow the chain decks just got better. Because people are like, wait a minute, what if we just do this instead? Still pretty good. So it is very possible that we're in that situation again. Now, obviously, we don't have Bonds, which is an insane card. But, I mean, we do. We have Red. But
Red Bonds.
Which is the best one anyway. But it's still got all the pop-off potential he had before. It's there. It's just a matter of, like, do you think people can block out enough to get through those or not? And that's kind of the question that needs answered. But,
we'll see. I mean, there have been counters to Zen, and we'll see if people, come out in force to try to be the counter or be the Zen, and that's always the question going into these tournaments. But we'll see. It's hard to speculate right now because we are really freshly... Like, we just learned about these bands, folks. So we're going to talk about them in a second. But I always got to do the fresh faves. And the last time we talked heavy hitters, your fresh faves from that wonderful set. We're going to find out what your MST fresh faves are. First of all, I think we know the answer to this based on what's around your neck right now. For the YouTube viewers, who's your favorite hero?
Enigma.
Yeah. Was that
I hate Illusionists.
Yeah.
What?
Was that apparent, like, out the gates, or did you have to be shown the way that it could be like a Guardian?
I mean, it's always kind of like, at this point, how I look at cards in general is like how they block and stuff, and what's the payoff for blocking. So I identified fairly quickly. I was like, what if you just like ignored all this aura nonsense and you just played a big dumb dragon and blocked? Oh, it works. All right, cool.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty much how that went. So, yeah, Enigma was definitely my favorite for that reason. Zen, I just really am not a fan of aggro decks. Nothing against people who do enjoy them. Like, there's obviously reasons to like go fast Unga Bunga aggro decks, but it's just not for me personally. I can't block very well, so I'm out.
I get it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite weapon?
I like to call it the Taco Bell. It's Enigma's weapon. If anybody saw me or saw the Taco Bell tokens, it's Enigma's like scroll, but it's in the shape of a Taco Bell. I was giving those it just looks like a Taco Bell. Yeah, exactly. Once you see it, you can't not see it. So you're welcome for everybody who has not heard that yet.
I don't even know the real name of the card. It's just the Dagan's Taco Bell to me.
Right, Cosmo.
Yes, Cosmo Kramer. What was your favorite equipment? There are quite a few good ones in this.
I'm gonna have to go with the Mystic Headpiece that grabs a chi. That thing is just Traverse is just such an insane card, and like that extended art is just incredible too. Like everything about it is just nuts. Yeah,
it's beautiful, and that's actually been probably the more consistent answer to that question since MST. People really like that card.
Yeah.
What was your favorite card that was just, you throw into your deck?
I mean, that's a tough one. I gotta go with Weakest Link. It's just like what you want in a Guardian card, really. It's a 2-for-6. You get to see their hand, even if they don't have anything. So you're like, I know how to block this. And if they do have a no block, they discard it and you draw. A lot of people forget about the draw part, but
yeah,
that's insane. You get a free arsenal too, potentially. So yeah, pretty nuts.
So good, and I love the art on that card.
Yeah, there's nothing not to like about it. It's so good.
Surprised he didn't say Manifestation's a mirror guy, but Weakest Link's a pretty good card.
Yeah,
and now
you can put that in any deck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and it's been in the sideboard of most decks these
Right.
days
Yeah.
that can play it. This is a new question that loyal listener Junior suggested that I start asking the guests. And shout out Junior in the Discord. What class and talent would you be if you were a flesh and blood hero?
Guardian. And I don't know about ice. I think it'd probably be Earth. I think it'd be Earth.
Yeah. Earth, hey, Terra, right there. You just need the adult hero so you can not be forced to play.
I mean, even when I played Briar, it was all about the Earth, making those embodiments and just blocking more. So I think it's got to be Earth for sure.
Gotta be. It's great answer. Thank you, Junior. I'm gonna keep that in the show notes for myself to ask people. I think it's a fun one. I told him I'd ask the boss, and guess what? I am the boss. Now, bans. So we've alluded to it quite a few times now, but we did get bans. No more yellow or blue Bonds of Ancestry. The ninja decks are crying. Mostly, I feel like Katsu's
It's mostly Katsu.
Katsu's the most upset. The Katsu got these like awesome tools, right? And then they're like, you know, we're gonna print a different ninja that's gonna use them better, and we're gonna have to take care of that. What are your thoughts here? Are you excited that these got the hammer?
Initially, I was extremely excited. I was like, finally, I can play a deck that blocks still. And then I thought about it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, well, I still might just be extremely strong. I mean, red bonds is what you wanted to kill people with anyway. It's just this lowers the consistency a little bit. Although, I am glad I can't get quad bonds wombo comboed by like Katsu anymore, so that's nice. That makes me happy. I've died to that before plenty of times, so
yeah.
It's nasty.
I guess now the question is, like, when I looked at it, I'm like, sure, get rid of the yellow. It's basically, we're looking at a rare shifting, right? Yeah. Where they said, you know what, red bonds is the majestic here. You guys don't deserve the other two, right? And you guys are doing too much crazy stuff. The blue, however, I mean, Zen has no lack of blues to transcend upon. I do think that maybe a bad or a good blue getting taken out of the deck might be bad for the deck. Where do you think the Zen deck is without these bonds?
I think it just lowers the consistency a little bit. I don't think it actually changes that much. Honestly, you could probably just sub in like a couple other generically good blue cards, or maybe even just some more power cards if you have a bunch of blues already. Like maybe you play I don't know, some pumps or just more generically good, like efficient cards, so that if you have to block, you can still play good 2-card hands. More 1-for-5s maybe, but there's plenty of things you can sub in that are all equally good. The only thing that changes is you can't play like pouncing links or something for the blue one, but you wouldn't anyway because you have traverse, or like it's just crazy. I don't know. Deck's still extremely good. I just lowers the consistency a little bit. Yeah,
and I mean, we've seen the deck sputter, right? Like that is always the it's not that bad, it can whiff, you know. So, and we see it sometimes, and it's not often. It wasn't often. Will it be more often now? Since you say it's not as consistent, is this going to be a situation where we're, you know, like almost we're looking at brute variants for an aggro deck, right? Like where, sure, when it's doing the thing, it's the best thing that is on the table. But when it misses, it just completely falls apart. Or, you know, they basically IP themselves.
Right.
Is that a situation here without the bonds?
I don't think so. I mean, what's crazy about Zen is like, unlike Katsu, you don't even have to hit to like go to it or whatever you want. You just have to have a chi. So to your point about not having the blue bonds, as far as I can tell, you don't transcend too often off bonds. Usually, from what I've seen, it'll be like they'll play the Gust Wave because it just has go again, and they'll transcend off that, and then they'll just play their bonds or whatever. So like, I don't see that to be a big hit, but you just play more blues that have go again or whatever, you'll probably be fine as long as you can transcend. So that's what matters. So
now with less bonds in the deck, 66% less bonds in the deck, to be precise. Is it even like, does that affect the Gust Waves you know, the first part of the combo. Like, is it even worth looking at that combo line, or like, you know what, maybe there's something more powerful out there, you know, kind of like the the seeds example that you gave earlier is like, maybe the deck's just about to get a lot better with a better combo that people weren't looking at because this was the easy one to kind of look at.
I mean, it's very possible. You could very well see a shift into not like mid range, but like a mid range hedge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I said before, like if you're forced to block, you can still do like a really good like 2-card 7 still, which is like still average. Like you're still threatening and it's annoying because a lot of people have to take damage just to send any kind of disruption, and if you can weather through that, you're still gonna just kill people. So. Yeah, I can't see any like new crazy combos. You're still just gonna play bonds because of how stupidly efficient it is. It's like a 0 for 8 or whatever. But yeah, you're still gonna play it. I can't imagine people not playing it just because they have less of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the Gust Wave part doesn't really care about what comes after. It just the bonds cares about what came before. So it is going to be interesting to see. Now the question is, what decks do you think feel a little bit better now? Right? You know, Zen still really powerful, and that's what they explained in the ban announcement. And they do that all the time. We don't want to like totally neuter a deck, you know, or anything like that. They want to, you know, take away something so that it's not dominant like it was. What is some stuff that gets to benefit from a slightly powered down Zen?
A gut reaction would say Enigma, because Zen is obviously a horrendous matchup. You'll probably just lose to about every Zen you play against. That's just the risk you take playing Enigma. So if you expect a lot of Zen, I would not recommend Enigma, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't know. I don't think the meta actually changes that much. I mean, maybe you'll see like people fall back on Brute because it's safe and still like a good aggro deck if you wanted to go that route. Maybe some people will fall out into that, but I think people will adapt with Zen and probably just keep playing Zen if they're already on it. So
now,
I don't. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Zen's probably still going to be the deck. KO definitely is going to be something to look at. I mean, it made the finals of US Nats, right? So like it still has, and sure, it was Andrew Rothmel, who's an insane player, but it's still a really good deck. Now, new, right? We didn't even really talk about new, you know, because you said I don't like aggro decks, but I do like defensive decks when you're talking about your MST favorite hero. But we didn't even talk about new. This is the disruptive deck, and it seems to be a decent counter into Zen. And if Zen's a little worse, new could feel a lot better. Do you expect to see new maybe just be the deck now?
It's very possible. She's extremely good. And when I was talking about favorite heroes, I guess I didn't. New is probably the most like objectively fun to play in general. Like she can just do so many cool things. She can like play all your opponent's cards, hit them with her own, you know, Terrace Under Cranial Crushes. Like it's just funny. But going back on the competitive side, it's even with all the really good Zen cards, people would think that she would have like a good matchup into Zen, and even then it was like 50-50, maybe slight new favored. With that less explosive aggro package, new might have a little better matchup in theory, but again, like I kind of brought up before, if they do shift more to like a mid-range hedge as an example, and they can block better, it's what new doesn't want either. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but new is still one of the best decks. It's very good. It's clearly taken a bunch of national championships from what I've seen. Like it's still putting up results. But yeah, you'll just have to adapt, I suppose.
Yeah, it's tough to say, and Zen being so good, it really,
right.
I feel so bad. I do feel bad for the Katsu players, right? Because Bonds was really good for them, but it wasn't broken, right? Like you know, Katsu was still a real thing. Now, in the announcement, Brian Gottlieb did hint at Katsu getting some new toys, right, in the expansion slot. So it might not be lost for Katsu, but for now it is pretty bad. Unless the We Make Best video, which I saw today. Shout out We Make Best. They have really cool, crazy decks. Double Zephyr Needle Katsu is a little crazy. Listen, you're doing some wild stuff over there. Now, I gotta ask, Riptide.
Yeah.
I play a lot of Riptide. Play Riptide at Nats. I'll be playing it at New Jersey. I'll be playing a lot of Riptide for a long time. I'll be playing it later tonight when I'm streaming, actually. You were messing around with Riptide a little bit.
I was. I was cooking a little too deep, yeah.
Yeah, you were cooking up some crazy stuff. Now, for those of you who don't know, Dagan reached out to me and is like, I'm messing around with something with Riptide. What do you think? And I looked at it and I was like, first of all, it didn't look like a Riptide deck.
Right.
Can you tell the folks at home what this Riptide deck looked like?
Yeah, so that was a bit ago. It was late. I was messing around with some friends. We're like, what if we did this thing? And it's usually how all the best ideas come from to begin with, honestly, is like, it's late, you're sleep deprived, maybe you're drinking with some buddies. It's always like, hear me out. And then somebody cooks too far. So this Riptide deck was playing like Prismatic Leyline. So you get like buffs on like multiple cards. You can reload off it. So you can load like, nonsense like Blue Falcon Wing, which nobody's played ever. And it would come in for like 4 damage, go again. That's pretty cool. And then I was playing like pummels because I have to as a Guardian player. I'm legally required to play pummel in my deck. So, which I tried playing in Enigma also. I tried my best. But I was playing cards like Brothers in Arms just to try and mimic like Crown of Seeds with Trench. Like it was some nonsense. There's better cards you could be playing, but it was a pummel target, so I had to shove it in the deck. But I don't know. Maybe there's a funny deck there. There's like a concept you can grab from that, and I don't know.
Yeah,
getting a lab, but
Trench is like one of those cards that feels like it needs to be broken somehow, right? Just
exactly
creating that resource. And now in Riptide, it mostly just feels like, oh, this makes the deck just so smooth. It just makes sense. But like you just hope that you can kind of break it. And the Brothers in Arms thing was really neat that you were doing. Obviously, might as well just be running Tunic, I think. But you got to mess around with the Trench. Now, I understand the need to throw pummel into things, and I'm actually be playing a Riptide list later tonight or last night for the people that are listening to this. That's Talishard Riptide. It plays pummels and stuff like that. By Jesse Harper, Orc Knight. He gave me the list.
Nice.
Really cool. I played against an Enigma that was doing the pummel thing on Talishard on stream. They attacked for 6 or something like that, right? Maybe it was a CNC. No, it wasn't. Definitely wasn't CNC based on what happened. It was like 2 for 6. I don't remember what it was.
Like Amnesia or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I just blocked 6, 2, and I had 2 traps in hand. Whatever. I had a Endless Arrow in Arsenal. Mm-hmm. I'll save the traps, send the Endless Arrow. They'll probably block it out. I'll throw the trap in. They go pummel, and I had a Inertia trap and the Spike Pit trap in hand. I was like, this is the best thing to ever happen in my life. I'm not going to lose a card. I didn't get punished. This is amazing. So that's the tough thing, I guess, running into Riptide. Now, in terms of, there were some other bands. We won't talk about the Blitz ones. We've already stated that neither of us really play a lot of Blitz. Yeah. Do you play Living Legends at all?
I haven't touched that either, to be honest. If there's not like an event I have to prepare for, I just don't have time to really dabble in other things, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm sure it's super cool, and I'd love to play Starvo again, because he's gotten me a lot of gold foils, but like, I can't justify spending the time on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, eventually it's going to be a thing, and they unbanned Channel Lake Frigid?
I did see that, yeah, that's huge, actually, for Icelander players.
Yeah, Icelander players, and I guess, like, Oldham and Starvo to a certain extent. I guess what really, like, I guess Zen is probably going to be really good too, You
just play Stubby Zen and blow people up,
yeah, that's true. They can play Stubbies, which is nuts. Now, the question is, how do you feel about the practice of banning specific colors? We talked about it being rare shifted. Do you like this practice? It's brand new, right? This is the first time they've ever done it. They said and people have talked about it. Like, what if we just banned these colors of these cards? And it never happened until now. Do you like this practice? Is this like a good precedent to set? I don't think they're going to practice it often, right? Like they made that pretty clear. It's like, this is like a last resort kind of thing. Do you like it though?
Yeah, I think mostly because of how they justified it, I think is what makes it such a good decision. So you had brought up that they were comparing it to like a majestic level, like power. So majestics only have one color.
Yeah.
Like as far as I know, there's none that don't. So it makes sense that they would make this just the red, like this is your power majestic. They had in theory the option to do that kind of thing before with like when they banned Autumn's Touch temporarily or like Seeds, they could have banned specific colors. But I don't think it was warranted in either of those cases. But this one feels perfect. Like you still have an insanely powerful deck. Like people aren't going to be selling all their Zen cards because this ban like at all. That'd be dumb. But it still gets the point across for what this card should be treated as, and I think it's great personally. Yeah,
it really is, and honestly, the funny thing about like the Autumn's Touch and the Seeds is they don't play at that level, right? They just kind of play at that level in the deck. Not even really. I mean, like Autumn's Touch was just
it's a Raging Onslaught broken.
Yeah, it was so good. Seeds at some point probably felt pretty crazy early days of Flesh and Blood, right? You play that card on its own, you're just like
one damage.
Is it legal right now?
I think so.
Can you play it? I don't remember if it was suspended or banned because I guess no, people would be at least messing around with it in Vincent. I think it's legal in Blitz. Doesn't matter. I'm not really sure. I'm not an expert on the Seed. I remember Seeds got banned, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm not playing Chain anymore, and then I started playing Leviathan. Should have stuck with Chain, to be honest, at that point in my life. But it is what it is. So I'm interested. You know, we're seeing them push the envelope a little bit here with bans. You know, with this specific colors, and not too long ago, because Earth cards were coming, they banned Crown of Seeds like outright. That's first legendary.
So
I know you're sad. I'm not sad. That card was terrible. I mean, it was terribly good. Do you think we're gonna see any other preemptive bans like as we revisit sets and talents and stuff like that? Like the next time we go to Draconic, is there going to be something in the Draconic kind of or Ice or Draconic, because we got to revisit both, that they're going to say it's too hard to design around this card? Like we saw it with Berserk, we saw it with Crown of Seeds. Do you think there's any more of that still to be kind of dug through, or are they in a good spot right now where they're like, okay, we think we covered all of our bases?
I can't think of any other like specific cards, I guess, at this point, if that's what you're asking, except for maybe something like, you know, Aether Wildfire is always like so close to being absolutely stupid with wizard stuff. Yeah. So it could be a chance to like, so this wizard like blows it up or something. But I think it's important that LSS does keep pushing the envelope in like powerful directions and revisiting if it's balanced later, because I think that's what makes games fun, right? Like you don't want everything to be vanilla or like it gets stale. So I like that this is something that they can do, is revisit some of these things, and maybe if they come up with ideas later that would break previous cards, I want them to be able to pivot like that. From a design standpoint, that's what you want. I mean, I'm even thinking of like Alpha Clash examples, but I think it's important, and I can't think of any specific examples now because I obviously don't know what's in the next Flesh and Blood set, but it's possible. So
maybe, I mean, you know, there hasn't been a ton. I mean, maybe with Dromai, right? Like Dromai,
for sure.
There might be reasons to be like, you know what, we're gonna make a new Dromai and we're gonna get rid of like Tomultai or something like that. That card was pretty insane, but
or like Flamescale Furnace. Maybe there's a way to like draw a bunch of cards but immediately pitch them all. Maybe you have like 40 resources. I don't know. Like
that'd be really cool. I look at that card that's like one of my pet cards. Like I don't play Ninja ever, but I'm building Phi decks all the time. Like there's gotta be away,
Yeah.
right? But you know, it is what it is. Now, in terms of what's next for you, Dagan, are you going to win the Pro Tour?
I mean, I like to say that I'm going to, but odds are I'll probably just like forget to eat again and then
Actually,
mess up. But
that's one of the easiest things. Just eat, and you don't forget to.
see, you think, but I'm so used to just like eating one meal a day at this point because it's so much effort for me. For context, I got braces recently, like a few months ago, but I have this bite block because of my overbite, so I can't physically bite down to chew, which means I pretty much can only eat liquids or like very mushy food, and you can't take that overseas, so you kind of have to like just planes and liquids and all that. But so you kind of have to like show up and like I guess I'll figure something out with whatever's here. And convention centers don't usually have that kind of food or anything. You can't eat like chewy granola bars or anything, so it's a whole struggle. But
there's got to be like some kind of mashed potato thing, right? It's a
like Go-Gurt, but for like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, we gotta.
That sounds awesome, actually.
We gotta figure it out. I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out. That's when I was going to town on mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
that was. I would go to Wawa, but you guys don't have Wawas out there, and they definitely don't have Wawas in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So that's a shame. But maybe one day Wawa's gonna go to Amsterdam, but we don't know. But we do have listener questions for you, Dagan. If you're ready to answer them, anybody could submit a listener question. All they have to do is go onto the Buds Discord and check it out and send it in. Usually I tag everybody when people are coming on. And this first one comes from Darth Prentice, a.k.a. Greg, who asks, now that you've gotten a taste of doing coverage, do you think you'll be doing more?
I definitely like to. It's pretty fun. I don't think I'm even remotely at the skill level of any other caster in any of these games that I've played. But it's certainly a fun experience. And from what it sounded like, a lot of the Alpha Clash people definitely enjoyed my insight during the games. So going forward, I think I'm probably going to be doing that for Alpha Clash at least. Flesh and Blood, there would have to be a lot more work to be done to be more like all the great commentators in Flesh and Blood, really. I mean, there's so many good ones.
Yeah,
like all of them, really.
We're pretty blessed
we are
Flesh and Blood with a lot of great casters, and there's probably still more to even get in there, because like we see with a lot of stores, they like to run their own things and stuff like that, and it doesn't always have to be the Battle Hardens, the Callings, and the Pro Tours. So we'll see. Farcist asked, what are some TCG games you like to play besides Flesh and Blood and Alpha Clash?
If you would have asked me like a year or two ago, I probably would have said like all of them. Yeah. But now it's just like I have too many other responsibilities I got to deal with. I just can't. So I tried Star Wars Unlimited for a little bit, and I got bored pretty fast. But I think it's mostly just from having played so many games at this point that it just kind of blends together. It's okay. It's basically just those two, and occasionally I'll play like Hearthstone or something on my phone, but that's about it. So those are my main card games: Alpha Clash and Flesh and Blood.
Yeah. Vintox asks two questions here. The first one, how does your name win all the raffles? And then he says, what the real question is, what are your favorite and least favorite mechanics in TCGs? And if you can add a mechanic to Flesh and Blood, what would it be?
So the first question is actually kind of funny because I have a story that goes with this. So it's true. I do win like a huge chunk of the raffles, but they found out how to stop me from winning all of them. They have me roll the die to decide who gets it, because I'll never pick myself ever. It's just how it works. So they figured out how to get through it. So now I never win. So that's the first part. But the second is I went actually out to the casino with Jordan and Logan of Flesh and Pod, and I played craps for the first time. And Jordan has this theory where every time you teach somebody how to play craps, everybody wins and comes out ahead every time. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. So there were four of us at the time. It was those two, me, and Jordy, one of the Alpha Clash guys, also super cool dude. And so we were all gambling for a bit, and it was actually insane. Like, we played bubble craps for a little bit, like the machine one. Every time I'd hit the button, it just like spit out money. Basically, it was ridiculous. Made like a couple $100 from that. But what I'm getting at with this is, kind of found this rule where the people who, in theory, like hate gambling the most, or always try and like find the best edge to play for, they will be the luckiest for no reason, and because luck just knows it'll piss them off, I guess. It's like, I shouldn't work this way. Why does this keep happening? And that's how gambling addictions start. But
that's when I actually flash the phone number on the screen. If you have a gambling addiction,
right. It's because I don't believe as much in luck that I win all the time. I guess that's the secret.
There you go.
You learn it here.
Yeah. And what about your mechanics in TCGs? Least and most favorite?
Anything that lowers variance and increases skill and expression, I'm always a huge fan of. Now, like, card games definitely need that balance, because otherwise you'll have a bunch of sweaty people that will always beat newer players, and they'll get discouraged. So you need some kind of, like, how do I put this? Linear aggro deck or linear strategy. Like, you do the one thing, you're rewarded for doing the one thing. But personally, my preferred play style, which kind of goes into this, is just the reactive decks. I want to play completely based on what my opponent is doing, not like my own one game plan. I want a bunch of game plans for various things. So any game that can give players the expression to do something like that, I'm always a huge fan of. So Flesh and Blood is like, as a game, is like the epitome of that, right? Those decreased variance, you don't shuffle as much, you can pitch deck, you can plan like the entire point in the game. Each hero can have a different plan than each other hero. It's perfect. Alpha Clash, as an example, my favorite character in that game, Clarity, she's a contender or like a hero from the first set. At the beginning of every turn, you just get to effectively opt to look at the top two cards of your deck, put them top or bottom, just every turn. Okay. So you can kind of sculpt the game plan, or even pitch deck in a way, if you're into that kind of thing, to kind of come up with whatever game plan you want. So super powerful effects that let me enact the game plan I want as a player. Those are my favorite mechanics. So those would be some examples there.
And if you could add a mechanic to Flesh and Blood, what would it be?
That's tough, because I think they already do it so well. It's hard to increase that in a way. Other than increasing more niche answers or generic cards that have multiple uses. But like I said, like, Flesh and Blood is already so good at that. Every card can either pitch, block, attack, whatever. Like, each card is already modular, which, huge fan. But I don't know, just more answers and more complex, more reactive cards, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, some cooler defense reactions. Like,
right.
We're not going to see more 0 for 4s, right? I think
exactly.
That's probably not going to happen. But, Riptide's traps are kind of a really cool direction. We could probably see more of something like that going forward, which would be kind of neat. Now, last question comes from Capolo, who asks, when are you opening your own zoo, and which animal would be the main attraction?
Well, it's kind of a difficult question because I'm kind of allergic to outside, just in general. You get me next to some pollen or any animal with hair, I'm just going to explode. Or even sunlight. Like, you see how white I am, I'll just explode. Like, I don't tan, I just catch on fire. So being outside in general is not my thing. So that being said, it would probably be more of like an indoor zoo, and it'd probably be more like reptile or aquatic. Okay. So I love like turtles, lizards, all that stuff is great. Maybe we'll have like an aquarium area, maybe some penguins. Penguins are sweet.
Penguins are sweet. They're very cool. I like a good penguin. I did the aquarium at the Mall of America while I was waiting for my flight by myself. It was interesting. I saw 2 turtles doing making love.
I saw that picture. That was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. So it is what it is. It's the wild nature that you need that was within the mall that you have to worry about. Now, thank you, Dagan, for joining us yet again. I love having you on. Love chatting with you. Can you please plug anything you'd like to plug? And thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Time, it's an hour already. That's crazy. So fast. Yeah, it's always great coming on here, hanging out. You can find me on Twitter or X at Tadachi1. And then I have a YouTube just called The Zookeeper. I don't know if you can find it by typing it, to be honest, but I I've probably posted links at some point on various platforms, so I'm sure you can find it. But yeah, those are basically the two things. I guess the third thing is I did have a Patreon and I was fairly active on it. But I've paused it for the foreseeable future. I think I had announced as well. I'm just too busy with other things. I can't justify charging people for not doing anything. So that's on pause. Maybe I'll get to it in the future. Maybe not. I've had a lot going on, but I do appreciate all the support I've had before from everybody else. But you can always find me on Twitter. So
we're busy. We're adults. It's crazy how busy we get, and it's tough sometimes. But yeah, please check out anything that Dagan's doing, and just say hi to him. Say hi to him at an event. You know,
I'll give you some cool tokens.
Give me Taco Bell tokens. Oof.
I'll be bringing those to Amsterdam, by the way. So if you see me there, I'll probably have the Miraga because I'll probably be playing Enigma. But I'll have the Taco Bell Cosmo tokens, and I'll have some cool spectral shields that one of my locals made the art for, and I'll be playing with those as well. So if you see me and want some tokens, let me know. I'll be there. So
yeah, let them know. Find Dagan, avoid Mark Johnson is what I would say. He's crazy, that Mark Johnson.
True.
He looks a lot like Mo Bogsley, though, so I kind of like
he's
him.
A strange attraction to chainsaws overseas, from what I've heard.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
That's a story for another day, though.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be on the show in a couple weeks, so maybe
maybe ask him, though.
I'll be asking him, what's the deal with these chainsaws, and why do you look so much like Mark Johnson? You can continue to find me on Twitter /X at freshbudspod. Please check out the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Doing streams weekly at this point, and then also posting some gameplay. Just like trying to do some Riptide stuff and have fun. It's a good time over there. Please check it out. What else? Bud's Discord, great place to hang out. And then Fresh Juice, the other podcast I do with my cousin, where we talk about indie video games. Please check that out. Also, check out my cousin. If you like survival games and stuff like that, there's a new one called Once Human. My cousin at Matty Gorm TV on YouTube is doing a lot of content for them. He's sponsored by them, so that's pretty cool. Check that out. And finally, Dagan, food. You're always eating some good food. You know, I see you post some pictures in the food pics channel.
Yeah.
What's some good food you've been enjoying lately?
I've been really liking Indian food. I mean, that's always really good, but the food is also soft enough with rice and stuff that I can just eat it. So it's crazy. Good food I can eat. Nuts. But yeah, between that and like just like fish, like different flavored fish. Because they're pretty soft. So
yeah.
It just kind of falls, like salmon as an example, just like falls apart. You know, so it's perfect. So those are the two main things. But
what's your favorite thing to order at an Indian restaurant?
That's tough. It's honestly so good. At this point, I've just kind of just pointed at something on the menu and then just ordered it. Like I barely even look at this point anymore because it's always good. But yeah, it's great.
That's sounds pretty good. Normally I'd have Charmer on, but his car broke down, so he won't be on this week. Classic Charmer. Thank you all. Please have a great weekend, and yeah, stay fresh.